to go first.
Sure.
You? Very well.
Sure.
You see a scene play out in front of you in this dark, dim, but still illuminated space. You see an elf, a half-elf. Looking on the human side, very, very weathered, having been through a severe amount of battle, going towards another person who looks strikingly similar to him, although far older and heavily, heavily scarred, brutalized, chained up and tortured. You can't hear what's being said, but you can see the tears streaming down the half-elf's face. The scene shifts again. You see the same half-elf in a far more resplendent and, healthier state, and you see that man again. Except he's not tortured, dead. No, he looks rather fine, if anything a bit condescending, arrogant, belittling of that half-elf. Again, you can't hear what's being said, but whatever is being said is striking many, many a chord with the half-elf. You keep watching, and you can see in and out of your own training that the way the two talk, move around, maneuver against one another, these are two very, very fine warriors. There is this sort of alacrity to the way they move, this deftness. And there's some part of you that picks up something from it. Never being caught off guard. Always being quick to step. And it's not by some education they're giving unto you, not physically nor directly, but it's just something that you're happy to have, and have gotten now. So, congrats on the evasion. Who's next?
I'll go.
Very well. You see a large dark room. Chamber, you would call it, I guess. There are many figures in this room, but most of them have this sort of vague, blur to them, except one. She has starkly bright red hair. Not too terribly tall, but she has this sort of confidence in the way she walks around. Even though this place does seem derelict and dark, she is not afraid of it. And then something happens. Someone gets shot, hit by a trap, ambushed. It starts quite the stir amongst the many of them. But she never loses her cool, and if anything finds it a bit of a trifling thing. Up until this large, dark figure begins being conjured, elevating themselves out of the ground, pulling themselves out of the abyss. A draconic figure. You do not know who they are. They honestly don't look like anything you've ever seen or have heard of when it comes to dragons. But it would be a fool to think that they are weak. No. They are probably amongst the most powerful draconic creatures you've ever seen. Or had chance at seeing. To be fair, not the largest portfolio you have, but
True.
This definitely pushes it up a lot. And yet still, that woman holds her confidence and flares out her own draconic wings and flies up to look the gargantuan dragon in the eye. Well, as best as she can. It's impressive, really. Then you hear something. Something draconic. It's so hard to tell. You only catch some parts of it. The dragon calls her child. Whelp. Girl. In a sort of belittling manner, as one's elders might give unto their lessers. But yet still, there's that confidence. Or rather, I guess, it's not confidence emanating from her now. It's more of a spite of getting power her own, not from his. It's very admirable, and you can feel a swelling of pride in yourself as you get access to your 4th level spell and spell slot for the time being. Who's next?
I can go.
Very well. You are also, well, you guys are all in the space of darkness, but your dim space actually plunges into outright darkness, and you see, as you're sort of adrift in the void, stars out in the distance. Truly adrift in the void. And you see a number of scenes play out around you in this sort of circular mirror of memories. You see a sort of grisly-looking ranger, I guess you would know, meeting a woman who's in a similar occupation. You see them growing closer. You see them getting married. Then the next scene is a man alone. No wife, nor child. The next scene after that is the man still alone, much more tired. But he has this sort of vague specter following him. But from what you can see, he's unaware of him. A specter in the shape of the woman. The scenes go on, this specter shadowing the man. Until you see the man in an entirely new place. And then the next scene is in another entirely new place. Drastically different scenes than the woods that he often called home, or at least found familiarity with. And every time you see a different setting, a different scene, the presence of that specter is brighter. And you see that she also has a sort of starry form about her. Like moving starlight. And then at some point, the man himself takes on a similar form and, well, shoots out starlight. He shoots it out at, I suppose you would just say, a dark shape. A black, so dark that it absorbs light. But it is not his strength that he's utilizing for that attack. Nor is it the power of the woman that has been following him for some time now. No. That's not what's compelling or impelling the attack. I guess you would just say it's sheer grit. Determination. Diligence. To look at the dark and not be afraid of it. Take your wisdom saving throw, please.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Yeah, let's do it.
Very well. You see a clan of people, I guess you'd call them. All dressed very utilitarianly, survivalist garb. But you see amongst this mass of people, it begins dwindling. Bit by bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. Until there is only one left. And then your perspective changes to almost like this sort of third-person over-the-shoulder perspective. Him standing atop a ridge, keeping watch over a land you've not seen before. He stays there. The sun and the moon go by. Spin, 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 spin. Day, night, and he never leaves. He never leaves. He's always keeping watch. The scene shifts. He's finally left his watch. And he is accompanied by some other people. Blurry forms and figures on the edge of this vision, almost like a scrying sort of thing. He has a small ledger, a journal, that you see him page through time and time and time again, adding notes, changing notes, and so on, but he refers to it frequently. And then you see him face down many a different type of foe. Creatures you've never heard about or seen. Some which you have seen and have heard about. Different, so many different types of creatures across all the categories. Be it beasts, devils, aberrations, fiends. Oh yes. He grows more and more scarred, but he has that same stoicism as when he was holding watch on that ridge for countless time. A diligence? Yes, definitely diligence. But also determination. You've seen the things he goes against. From small to massive. And as just one man accompanied by others, he's done so much. But you're taking something specific, which is what you told me. You also see next to you, as this vision ends, that other you. Having just watched the same exact thing you were just looking at, apparently. He turns to look at you. Gets a quaint smile on his face. And nods. Doesn't say anything, though. He just nods in acknowledgement. And then blinks out of existence. Who's next?
Sure, it's all good.
I'll do Nina because I technically saw Nina's light lab first. Silas, from your dark, dim, but illuminated space, you feel rather, I imagine it's an uncomfortable feeling for someone that has fur. You plunge into water. Deep down into the water. So far down that light doesn't pierce through. You begin falling, sort of like the intro to Kingdom Hearts, into this darkness and see that there is a pale green light awaiting you at the bottom. As you finally make your way down, aided by this onset of quote-unquote gravity, you see a party of people, but only one of them actually has any definition or form. They're all clearly not suited for the environment. They don't have fins or gills, they have rebreathers and so on. One of them stands out, or rather stands distinct to you. An elf, adorned in blues, And as she moves around, you can see that she rocks a wicked scar upon her side of her face. The party is then onset by what appears to be shades, ghosts, specters, whatever phantasmal thing you want to determine them as. You don't hear the contents of their conversation, so many of them being had, all of them blurring together in this bubbly, whispery vision of yours. But to the one that you see distinct, you see her conversation with her own ghost of her past go, well, rather remarkably smoothly. And you can see as that conversation ends, that ghost begins fading out of existence. Something that she doesn't see, this sort of phantasmal power, not fade and disappear into nothingness, but rather flow into her.
Let's see that one.
What was that?
I'm
you're not
gonna
Mute him. Mute him. Mute him. There.
Mute him.
You see that energy flow from the fading figure to her. And you can see these, I guess you call them ley lines in her person, her key, I guess, begin illuminating with this sort of, I don't know, cosmic energy. They remind you of the dream catchers, the tethers you saw back in the Nightmare Imperium. These bright white lines. They crackle all the way up from her centrality, her torso, all the way up to her head. And you hear whispering. Not from her, not from any of the others, just whispering around you. But that's where your vision ends. Enjoy your 4th level spells and spell. Let's move to Deet, since you were volunteering prior. To Deet. Your dim vision actually brightens up to a place you're relatively familiar with, the province of Senseg, your home. You can't exactly make out what city it is, but it is a city in Senseg. You can tell by the architectural styles, the poor laden elves on the sides of the street, the provincials that walk by and don't care. This is Senseg. You see a motley crew of people, vague in their capacity, except one, enter a bar. A bar which only has one way to get in, a long bridge, and then surrounding it is all water canals. As you begin following them, you see another figure. This one, you still can't make out their, facial features or anything like that, but they stand apart in simply that they are a dark, blackened presence that has a buzzing about them. Buzzing similar to June, I guess. The sort of insectoid wings. The one man you can make out inside the tavern. Tan, slicked back hair. Carries many a knife on his belts. Is suddenly drawn in, as if hearing the same buzzing you're hearing, outside. The darkened individual and the man you see begin having a talk. You can't make out the contents, they are but a murmur. But you do see a rather interesting thing. You see the darkened figure hold up his hand, palm up, and create from his very own flesh a small head. A small human head. About the size of, I don't know, a baseball. It twists and forms from his own flesh before he promptly crushes it in his grasp and reabsorbs it. Whoever's head it was must have been one that the figure, the one that you can actually see, the one you can tell, recognized. The darkened individual holds out their hand, a handshake, to which the other man swats away. Then the two part ways, knowing what the other one's like. You actually do follow, your perspective does follow in with the man that you can tell inside now, into the bar, where he's quite flustered, that much is very obvious. But a number of people, vague in their capacities, go over to him and check with him and see what's wrong. The scene changes, shifts to what you assume is later in that evening. There is merriment being had, drinks being poured and drank, food prepared and eaten. And he's at the core of it. Core of all that preparation. It smells delightful in here. And in a way, it reminds you sort of the treats that you can now make for yourself and Kebab. So, take your evasion. The speed of the kitchen. And now, for Brendan.
Yarp.
You are in a dim but illuminated space. And then suddenly in a darkened cave. Pitch black, some torches off and away around the corner, some very faint torchlight. And you see a squalid, short individual getting their boot to their arse out of the cave into the wilds, the forest, the jungle. You don't understand what's being said, but you can tell by the tone and the ferocity behind the words that they are fucking pissed. But the door gets slammed in their face, and then he is one little goblin alone in the world. He tries his hand at a number of different survival techniques, most meeting failure. You see little snippets of the trials. Until one day, he comes across, or rather they come across him, a group of people. Vague in their form and capacity, but you can tell by the deftness by which they move that they are very, very sneaky sorts of people. Never keeping too much weight on one step at any time if they can help it. The scene shifts again. He now looks a lot better. I wouldn't say cleaner, but better. Healthier. And they are in the midst of running away, dodging a volley of crossbow bolts. They have some nabbed possessions on them, sacks laden with loot. When suddenly he trips, or was he tripped by someone running by, who knows? And then the scene changes and he's locked up. Alone. The scene changes once more, him being let free and meeting a different sort of people. Markedly different than the ones he was running with before. They're not particularly dexterous, swift. And you see a number of times where he does get bonked on the head for being a miscreant. But, the scene keeps going. He goes to a new land. He faces off against some peculiar undead. He comes back to the land which he calls home, quote unquote. Not the cave, but the lands. And you can see him just stop on the road while they're all traveling. He just sort of takes a break and lets everyone else pass him up. And he looks at them and gets a small smile to his face. He checks his pocket for this possession that he has. This little secret that he's had this whole time. He hangs on to it. Just in case. Secrets to secrets. Take your fourth. And I believe we're done, my friends. What was all that you just saw? Maybe you'll learn one day. But
I'm guessing
I don't
it's
know
only
if it'll
one
be today.
fourth level slot, right?
I didn't hear a word you said.
I just said I'm guessing it's one fourth level slot.
One fourth level slot, yes. So, welcome back to the real world. The waking world, one might say. Welcome, welcome. He's still there. You're still hurt. The pain that racks your body is proof that you are alive, because dead men don't feel that shit. So, let's keep you guys on the task of living, huh? Roll me your initiatives.
Solid.
I will give him disadvantage on his initiative, because you guys would have had a quote-unquote head start on him apparating out of the heavens.
Because he's
I'll look at
becoming
this show
a
off
thing.
over here.
I can't
Save the 20s.
see my character sheet.
You should be able to. I haven't touched it.
Okay, I see it now. It's just me being stupid.
Oh, good. Happens to the best of us.
Being a dick again was doing that.
I guess there's no way for me to turn on disadvantage rolling for him on an NPC sheet, so I just
like
got.
roll 2d20s, I guess.
I just hit the button. I should. Does this work?
Okay,
I haven't selected.
so,
No, it did not work. Okay, well, fuck me. Alright, well, that works out then.
I'm trying to remember like everything that we have. I wrote it down. Okay.
Dead last, let's go! Let's go!
It's good.
I am the second last. Let's go. No,
Let's go!
No, third last. I forgot.
Oh, look at that. Sejarni, right here at the bottom. Let's go, Army.
Hey, hanging out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like last time.
You know, I thought maybe, just maybe, you guys would get better initiatives this time around, but I guess you guys are...
Look, the
I
way
mean-
you gotta think about it is you're just first in line to sort out the problems of whatever the boss does.
True.
Yeah, sure.
Oriana didn't get a 7 this time. She got a 17. I don't know if
Alright.
that helps her or not in this case.
Silas, you're starting us out.
Is that nat 20?
Old NPCs.
Ah, shit!
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was like, hold on, we got.
I was too caught up in what you guys just saw. I'm lacking, slacking.
Don't start streaming.